This week we are focused on the socialization of new employees, and I'm very excited about this topic because at one point or another we have all been a new employee at an organization. And so today we will talk about how new employees learn about the organization, meet people in the organizations, stuff like that. So just hold on to all of your ideas because we will discuss those at the end, but I'm very excited. So speaking of discussing, tell me about your first job. So I know you're listening to this, but just write it down, or you can tweet or tag me in a post on Twitter, or you can write me, but tell me about your first job. Tell me about your first day. What did they have you do there? So for instance, my very first job, I worked at a Taco Bell KFC combo, and it was great because I had the chance to learn about cooking fast food from not really a Tex-Mex, but from two different organizational cultures. And it was neat because, you had to prepare the ingredients separately for one side, and then for the other side for KFC, like you mix a lot of ingredients together. But also many of those recipes were not at that time written down, so you would have to learn from the people who were well seasoned, no pun intended, y'all, by working at KFC or also by working at Taco Bell. But those are some things that I never forgot. So right now, to make a Taco Supreme, and I don't eat at Taco Bell anymore, but I know to make a Taco Bell Supreme, you have to have the crispy shell taco. You also have to have the meat, so you place the meat on there, as well as the sour cream, and then the cheese. Then also you put the green onions on there as well. So to make a Taco Bell Supreme, and I'll have to check that recipe because I haven't made one in a long time. But to make the bean burrito, I was taught that you have the large shell or large burrito, and you put the beans, and you put the red sauce, then you put the onions, the white onions, and then you roll it up in a certain way so when the customers received it, they didn't bring it back. So that was the goal. You wanted your customers to be happy. But I learned those not from a manual, but by watching and emulating how others made the items as well. And you guys, that's been literally 25 or more years since I worked there, but I still remember how to make those items, even though I do not eat beef or pork or chicken anymore. So that is about my first job, and I have people that I know to this day that I worked with, and we still have a great working relationship. Okay, so how did I learn how to do my job? Like I said, I learned how to do it through emulating others, not from a manual, but I learned it from emulating or looking at what others actually did. But how did you learn how to do your job? Did you have a formal mentor system? Did that means that a well-seasoned employee would work with the new employees and to get them part of that acculturation process. And you guys, I will use the word acculturation like a lot this semester, but acculturation basically means how did you learn that new company's culture? And so that's what today will be about as well. By the way, that might be on your midterm, just saying. But now let's learn about the message content article. So that is the article that you are assigned to this week. You guys, you are reading your research article. So that is something that will be new for some people. Other people will be used to it, but I wanted to walk you through the article by producing this video. So your processing questions today will basically be focused on the most interesting aspect of the article, and then an item that you would like to investigate further if given a chance. So just to break that down, Kotz and Kahn in 1978 argued that socialization activities often included role sending efforts. So that basically means how you learned about doing your role. I am a professor at Tarleton, but so many of the things that I do, I had to learn on my own or I had to seek it out. I did not have a formal mentoring structure except for my department head who I asked questions, but there was no formal mentoring structure in my department. But I think that companies should have a formal mentoring structure in order to help new employees learn more about their role in the company culture. But role setting efforts in which expectations about work roles are conveyed to newcomers in an attempt to mold them into acceptable and efficient organizational members. So basically, if you do not help people A, learn about the culture, and B, learn about their role, they are C, likely to leave and not feel a part of the culture. So to learn about your new role, here are the categories that are vital to learning about a new role at a company or even in an organization. I know that some of you are part of sororities and fraternities or are on the football team. So let me give you an example. I am a Chi Omega, and I've been a Chi Omega for a very long time. It is a national women's sorority that I became part of at another university in Texas. But there is a semester dedicated to learning about your new member role. And so that's important because you want to learn about the history of the organization. You want to learn about the politics of that organization, what to do and what not to do, who to talk to, who not to talk to. You want to learn about the language. So there is a common language in an organization that you will only know once you finish that new member orientation or that new member process. Also, like, for example, we had mixers, and so that is basically when a fraternity and sorority pair together to A, get to know each other, and then B, socialize. So that is a mixer. I didn't know about that word before becoming a part of that sorority. Also, interpersonal, that basically means how do you communicate one-on-one to A, the people you work around, and B, to your superior or to your supervisor. Okay, also relationships. How do you form relationships with others? Are there certain people that you are not allowed to have a very close relationship with now that you are a new member of the organization? Do you have to be a part of that organization for a longer period of time in order to have those relationships? Also, goals. It's important to know about the goals of the organization as well. What does the organization want to do, want to achieve? So with most companies, organizations want to make money. So that means that the goal is to A, make sure that everyone's doing their role, and then B, make sure that everyone's doing their role efficiently and effectively, because if they are, the likelihood of that organization making money is definitely achievable. And then also to know the values of the organization, what the organization tolerates and what the organization does not tolerate. So at A&M, there was this saying that it's a value statement, but that Aggies do not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate others who do. And so it's important to know that, those are the values that the Aggie or Texas A&M culture tells their new members. Also, the most memorable messages are role-related and also culture-related. So role-related basically means you need to know how to do your job, and culture-related basically means you need to know how to become part of the culture. So from all of the messages that I talked about a few moments ago, these are the two most memorable types of messages that you will receive as a new member. So I will not go over all of these, but I just wanted you guys to know that there are 24 different ways that you can learn about your new job. So it's performance proficiency, that's basically how to do your job well. Performance proficiency in the form of how to have the skills and abilities necessary to do your job, and then the duties that your job entails. Also, you need to know about the history of your job, like the customs and the rituals, the traditions of your job, and then also the history behind your work unit. Is it new or is it about to be phased out? Those are important things to know. Also to know about the people of the organization. Are social gatherings encouraged? Are the people who you that you work around, are they your friends? Are they perceived to be your friends? Also to know about the politics, how things really work in an organization, and that's important. Also the language, what's a common language that's used within the organization? For instance, if you are becoming part of the university culture, so you become a New Tarleton State University student, that means that you learn what a semester credit hour is. That means that you learn about what a professor is. That means that you learn about basically the common course load for a student, which is between 12 and 15 hours. So you learn basic language that people outside of the organization or outside of the university environment usually does not know. And then also you learn about the goals and the values of the organization. Okay, so remember we had 1 through 24. So item 1 corresponds with the ropes of your job. So if you look at the ropes of your job, and this was a survey that was administered to people working in a hotel-based environment, and they wanted to know how those people learned about their new role. So number 1 was, again, the ropes of your job, or how to do your job. It said that most of them learned, if you're looking at it says 0.15, and then it says 0.77, 0.01, and then negative 0.16. That means that they learned most about the ropes, how to do the ins and outs of their job through performance and basically. So they learned about how to do and preferences of their organization. So that means that they learned how to do the ropes of their job mostly by learning on the job or learning from others who taught them how to do that. If you look at anything bold is something that's very significant. Or you really need to pay attention to. Okay, number 6, if you look at number 6, it says 0.53 history. So number 6 was the organization's custom and rituals. So they learned most about that through the history of the organization. Most of that would be written down. Let's see, one that's really, the closer it is to the closer that it is to 1, that means that it's much more significant, and we really have to pay attention to it. So 0.91 means that this thing was really emphasized since joining the organization through language. And so that was the meaning of specific words and jargon in your trade or profession. So the organization really emphasized the words and jargon through the language that they used, and they learned that from talking with people. So I want you guys to basically pinpoint the things, like this week in your discussion group, the things that really, really stood out to you from the article. And also, I want you to pinpoint on this list what really stood out to you, like which item and then why. But, and last but not least, your last processing question will be, do you think socialization will be affected by Gen Y and Gen Z? That basically means the millennials and then the generation that is after the millennial